This is the Coordination Tax, a podcast about what actually breaks down when teams stop sharing the same reality. I'm Kristian Luoma, co-founder at In Parallel, and every episode I sit down with somebody who's lived through a mess of keeping organizations aligned. 31, that's the number this whole episode is about. I want to show you where it comes from, what it means, and the thing is we interviewed a great study about what is the true coordination cost. 5 continents, 247 managers were asked a very boring question, not how do you feel about meetings or is your organization aligned? We asked them to itemize their week. How many hours are they spending in status meetings? How many hours are they spending re-explaining something to someone who already had the context? How many hours hunting for a decision that had been already made? And that was added up. 16.5 hours a week. Now, that's 2 full working days gone before anything else actually happens to the real work. And that's how you land into 31 out of 100. And that is the official Coordination Tax Index for the year of 2026. Nearly a third of management capacity is spent around work about work. Now, in this special episode, we don't have a guest. It's just me and the study. I will go through some of the highlights as you read and download your copy. So this is it. The Coordination Tax Index 2026, published by In Parallel out of Helsinki, written with my co-founder, Markku Mäkeläinen. A quick word on why we did this at all. We kept hearing from managers that their calendar was full and their week was empty, that they were busy about being productive. Everybody agrees with that. It's almost a cliche. But nobody could articulate the cost. There was no number. And a cost without no number is not managed. It just gets absorbed. So we went and measured it. Here's how the index is built, because I want you to be able to argue with it. Each respondent gets a score from 0 to 100. Half of that score is measured. 3 itemized hour counts I mentioned as a share of a 40-hour work week. The other half is perceived, what they say they lose overall. And then we average the 2, and the average across that sample is 31. We had 247 respondents, 50 from US, UK, Canada, Australia, 47 from Germany, across 9 industries. And 94% of them were in a management position of sorts. 62% led teams, 29% led departments or were a director. During June, we executed this with our partner, Polfish. And if you look at the distribution on the left, the average hides the story a bit here. So 16% were in the low band. Coordination was roughly under control. But for 36%, the coordination tax was moderate. 26% were high, and 22% were severe. That's roughly 48%, nearly half of the sample, losing more than a day a week. And the top decile scores 54 and above. Now, for those managers, coordination isn't really a tax on the job anymore. It is the job. Now, where do the hours actually go? When we look at the page 4, status meetings adds up 8.1 hours per week. That's about half the tax right there. Meetings where the purpose is only to share status, not make decisions. Re-explaining is nasty one, 4.6 hours. That means repeating context to somebody who already had it. And then searching, 3.8 hours. Hunting for decisions and agreements that already existed somewhere. The frequency numbers underneath are the ones I find hardest to look away from. 90% of managers leave at least 1 meeting a week thinking that could have been a message. 43% have thought 2 or 3 times a week about that. And 86% re-explain the same context more than once in the same week. None of that is an exotic failure, to be honest. It's just another Tuesday. And they will... on the right is the bill. 760 hours per manager per year. At the loaded cost of $85 an hour, pretty conservative if you ask me. That's $64,500 per manager. And with a team of 8 managers, $500,000. A management layer of 100, $6.5 million. That's roughly what 35 additional managers cost, by the way. Capacity that you could employ, but cannot use. Now, here's the framing that I would slightly push back if I were you listening to this. It's not a meetings problem. Meetings are only one half of it. The other half, the re-explaining and searching, that's a memory failure. That's the organization forgetting every single week what they already knew. If you look at page 5, this is the finding that surprised me the most, and it's the one I'd built the whole episode around if I had time. So we asked people, how much of your week do you lose to coordination overhead? 21% average answer. Then we asked the same people to itemize hours, and those hours added up nearly to 41%. Same manager, same week, off by a factor of 2. People generally cannot see their own overhead. Why is that? Because it arrives in 15-minute slices. It's a cost that shows up 15 minutes at a time, never hits the budget. You file it under busy, not under loss. Nobody owns the number. Nobody tracks it. Nobody is accountable for reducing it. That's what makes this dark matter of the P&L. It's the largest cost in knowledge work that appears in no ledger. And it's worst at the top. Directors and department heads itemize 20.1 hours a week, half their working time, and self-reported losing about 33%. So people with most reconcile are able to least reconcile costs of them. Now on the page 6, quick pass on the structural picture because this is what tells you it's not a discipline problem. If this were about people being sloppy, it would be randomly distributed. It isn't. It scales with structure. By role, directors pay 35% more coordination hours than team leads. Every step up the ladder buys you more of the same hours. By country, Germany is at the highest, 37.2. Then UK, US, Australia, and Canada still at 27.1. Hybrid teams pay the most, 8 index points higher than people at the office. And I want to be careful here because I'm not trying to make an argument against hybrid. I love hybrid work. The flexibility is really valuable for employees. But the argument is that coordination cost is currently being paid by this re-explanation by individuals mostly. I'm not surprised to see as a former financial services person that financial services and technology are at the highest. The most regulated industries tend to be documentation heavy. On page 7, this one is one of the strongest structural signals in the whole data set. The tool count. There's a correlation of 0.42 with the coordination hours. Strongest multiplier we measured. And the teams that stack 1 to 3 tools spend about 13.5 per week for coordination. Teams that have more, 7 to 10, for instance, have 24.7. So more than 10 tools and you're at 32.1 hours per week. At one point, coordination is most of the week. And the point here is that tools, unlike we believe, don't actually erase, but increase the amount of coordination we need to do. If you look at the list on the left, where decisions actually end up, shared doc, 53%, email, 43%, Slack or Teams, 38%, some personal notes, 34%, and 9%, nowhere, people's memories. Average of 2 destinations per decision. So the problem isn't that the decisions go unrecorded, it's that they are recorded everywhere at once, in systems that never reconcile with each other. A decision recorded everywhere has no source of truth. And third of the teams are routing decisions through someone's personal notes. That's knowledge that resigns when they do. Now on page 8, the AI section. This is the part I expected to be wrong about and wasn't. 86% of managers already use AI at work, self-reported. So the adoption is done. The argument is over. So if personal AI assistants reduced coordination overhead, the heaviest users would pay the lowest tax. That would be an understandable prediction. Now, the data says the opposite. Daily AI users, 20.3 hours coordination per week. And people who don't use AI at all, 9.1. The heaviest users carry more than twice the load. Now, I want to be honest about this because it's likely going to be the number in the report that people will push hardest on. Causality runs both ways here. Managers who are drowning in coordination are exactly the people who reach for AI. So this isn't the proof that AI causes the tax. But conclusion holds either way. A year into mass adoption, individual AI has not cut the coordination tax for the people who are paying the most of it. And the reason is right on the page here. 91% of AI users have to load context manually before the assistant is useful. 55% spend 3 to 10 minutes per session re-explaining what their team already knows. Only 9% say that their assistant usually knows enough. So managers now re-explain context twice. Once to their colleagues and once to the machine. The constraint hasn't been really about model capability for quite some time. It's the access to the context. It's the shared context that is precisely the part of the organization that AI cannot see. If we move to page 9, it brings me to thinking that I think it's most useful if you're trying to decide what to do on Monday. So we asked a hypothetical if your AI assistant could access your team's shared context, past decisions, project history, who owns what, how many hours a week would that save you? Average answer was 4.4 hours a week. That's 201 hours a year, 5 working weeks back. And from daily AI users, the people who know the tools best, 5.9 hours. 4.4 is 27% of the measured tax, recoverable before you redesign a single process, cancel a single meeting, or replace a single tool. Look at where the demand concentrates. Teams with more than 10 tools gain 7.1 hours. Daily AI users, 5.9. The segments that are paying highest tax are the ones most certain about what recovers it. It's a rare situation. The market has already described the product, not the better model. Shared organizational memory connected to the AI they already run is the solution. On page 10, one more item, then I'll finish. We ask people what they do with the time that they would get back. 53% said strategic thinking, 47% developing their people, deep work, customer relationships. Only 6% said that they would leave earlier. 6. So the tax is eating exactly what every organization says it wants more from its leaders. Strategy, coaching, customer time. It's not that companies are short from leadership capacity. They're spending it on archaeology, finding the decision, repeating the context, sitting through the status readout. And that reframes the whole thing for me. It isn't a productivity problem. It's a management quality problem. On page 11, the implications quickly. 3 things that the data rules out. 1, you cannot train your way out. Structural variables are going to be an issue. 2 people need 1 conversation. 10 people need 45. It's a math problem, and math problems need structural answers. Number 2, you cannot buy your way out with another system of record. Decisions already run in 2 systems, and the searching is the problem because every record depends on the humans to keep it current, and humans are busy. Humans don't update records. The records drift from reality the moment they are written. Adding AI on top of stale records just gets you to the wrong place faster. And number 3, you cannot prompt your way out of. 86% adoption. Heaviest people adopting AI pay the highest tax. And finally, page 12, or actually before the last thing, the methodology is explained here in the final page. I'd rather you have read it. All time figures are self-reported. We're clear in the report that they're directional, not audited. Though I'd note that the perception cap finding suggests that if the numbers are wrong, they're wrong on the low side. So, what do you do with this? Honestly, the first step isn't a tool. It's a number. You cannot manage something unless you measure it. You cannot manage something that you underestimate by half. Ask your managers to itemize their week. Status meetings, re-explaining, searching, not how they feel about it, the actual hours. I bet the gap between what they say and what they count is roughly what we measured in our study. And about the structural piece, if the tax is built on how the work is coordinated, the answers has to be built in the same place. We believe in shared context layer, an organizational memory that gets captured when the work happens, in the meetings, in the threads, in the decisions, and stays automatically current without depending on anyone's discipline, because that's not going to happen. By our respondents' own arithmetic, that one change gets you back 4.4 hours per week per manager. The full study is free. I'd generally rather have you read it and trust my summary on it. 12 pages, all the caveats. Go to inparallel.com and you'll find the Coordination Tax Index 2026 right there from the front page or from the footer. Download it, argue with it, and send it to whoever runs your management system today. And if you want your own number, not from a survey, but from your actual meetings, that's what we built in Parallel to do. So thanks for listening to the special episode. No guests this time to thank. Just the 247 managers who contributed their time and effort to build this beautiful Coordination Tax Index. See you in the next episode.